Try not to, yeah. I can do it. Watch.
With Mike Swick, real quick.
No, I'm not going to. I'm not going to do it.
With Mike Swick podcast.
Yeah, it's hard not to.
Swick-a-teen, 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 Swick-a-teen.
All right, guys, we are back on another episode of the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast, episode number 6.
Damn. Yeah.
In our 5th week.
That's crazy.
So yeah, we're knocking them out, man. We're knocking them out, and we're gonna get through this intro really fast, guys. Don't worry. We got a big guest today, and he is getting ready for work. He works for the UFC. He's a Fox analyst. Give you a little hint of who we have today.
It's gonna be in the fucking title. Just tell them who it is.
I'm trying to build it up a little bit, buddy. We have Daniel Cormier as our guest today, and he's a teammate of mine. And we've trained together for many years, and he's a champion, or was, and now it's in speculation with the new recent failed test.
I'm pretty sure he likes me, actually.
Yeah, he's always shown
me a lot of love.
Yeah,
in person.
He sure has. Yeah, and he's a great guy. So this is actually one of the podcasts that I've been looking forward to the most, and I've been wanting to get him on this podcast. We just started this 5 weeks ago, so getting him, he was on vacation in Hawaii, and we were just ready to go gung-ho on these things, so we just started knocking them out. And so this is the first time we've been able to actually get a hold of them and get a time that we can actually
and good timing with all that news with Jon Jones and his piss and all that stuff.
So we're going to talk about all that today, the new Jones test and how he felt, and we're going to cover everything. His trip to Hawaii, maybe break down a couple more fights, and we're going to tell some old stories of the good old AKA headquarters days.
Yeah.
Of from the time when he came to AKA till now.
When did he get there in 2009?
Incredible. I mean, I don't even know exactly when he came, but I remember all the stories, and we're going to go over a few of those. But man, what a ride he's had. And from the Olympics to UFC stardom and being the champion. Incredible, man. I'm so
impressive
proud
career.
Yeah.
Impressive guy overall, just great guy. So
yeah, and one thing I'll say about Daniel is he never forgets where he came from, and he's always given us so much respect, the guys that were on the team before he got there.
We should do a shot every time he says Louisiana. I think he's going to bring it up.
You think so?
Yeah.
But, yeah, and so as he's gotten bigger and bigger and bigger and past all of us up, the original guys, obviously, he's never forgotten that respect, and he's always showing it back to us, and that's just one quality about him that's just amazing. He's always showing respect to everybody that's part of the team, whether he passes him up and becomes a superstar. I mean, he's never become this this diva or this superstar that is
an asshole. Yeah.
He's never become an asshole, and he's great.
Good family guy too.
So. Yeah. So what we'll do, like I said, we're gonna get this really fast, guys, so we can get on with Daniel. We want to go ahead and do our comment. Who's going to win the free training at AKA Thailand? And we had some great comments, some great feedback. 2,000 views in the last couple of days. On YouTube alone for the Mickey Rourke podcast.
49 comments? Is that how many?
Yeah, 41? I don't know. And the thing is it was great to have Mickey Rourke, man. We were his very first podcast, and that was awesome. I know he's an older generation. He's an OG from Hollywood, but how incredible was it to have someone like him, someone that's in a set that was friends with Tupac. And if you haven't seen that episode, please go back and watch episode number 5, because I mean, Mickey Rourke, he's
hilarious too.
He has zero filter. He tells us some great stories. I think some of these stories he mentioned in that podcast had never been told before.
Yeah.
The Tupac story, especially the Dom Perignon bottle over the head.
Don't ruin it for everybody.
I'm just saying, there's some cool stories in there. The John Gotti, situation.
Donald Trump,
the true story. We broke. I don't know if it's even out there, because there's a lot of stuff we found on TMZ before we interviewed him. About how he hates Donald Trump or is not a fan of Donald Trump, and he would allude to it being a personal issue and not a political issue, but they would never go into details of why. We actually got the full scoop of why he personally doesn't like Donald Trump because of a hotel incident that happened when he was filming the movie Bullet with Tupac. So that whole entire story is on episode.
We should get 5. We should get Donald Trump on the podcast, see what he thinks about it.
Yeah, we'd have to go through Twitter, I think.
Nobody said no
to us
tweets.
Yet. Donald Trump only tweets.
But, buddy, you got to admit, nobody said, well, obviously no to you. I don't know any of these people, but nobody said no to you yet on the podcast. So
yeah, it's we're lucky, and we've been able to get some really good guests.
And some of the ones you got lined up coming up soon too.
We're going to the moon with this thing. We had a Hunt, we had Hardy, we had Rourke. Today we have Daniel
Cormier, man,
and we got some big ones lined up. So it's going to be good. But getting back to this comment, guys, I know you want to get to our guest. So I picked this time, and I went with. I'm gonna have to just say the initials because I can't pronounce it as a word, but it's TSHN 1971. And he's from Sweden, and he left a comment saying, firstly, I hope all is good with your families in Texas. Okay, you won us over with that comment because, as we said in the broadcast before, we're Houston boys. We got hit by the hurricane, and it's still a huge issue right now. So please do your research, donate to the charities that you feel confident is going to do the most for Houston. I'm not going to try to tell you which charities to donate to, but definitely help out, guys. Definitely, please. They're going through a lot right now. Your family's going through a lot.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit north, but I have friends and families that are dealing with it as well. Anyway, his comment was, firstly, I hope all is good with your families in Texas. Another great episode and a perfect way to start Saturday morning here in Sweden. What a great comment that is. And he started a Saturday morning with our podcast. One thought about the choke out of Mark. What if Mark has some kind of superhuman skills and reverses Mike and chokes him out instead? Smiley face. I don't know why that gets a smiley face.
Because he's right.
Yeah, but nobody wants to see me get choked out. I mean, that's how you watch one of my UFCs. I mean, I got choked out by
I guess you could watch the
Paulo Thiago
fight.
Just go into Fight Pass and see that. That was fun.
Well, he's obviously, an intelligent individual.
And he ended with...
but do I need superhuman strength to beat your ass?
That he was right about. So I will give you credit on that one. He was 100% accurate on that. You would need superhuman, not subhuman, which is what I consider your kind of level.
Wow.
And he ended with continue the great work. So apparently he thinks we're doing great work. And as long as there's people out there that think that we're doing great work and are enjoying our podcast,
we keep doing them.
We're going to keep doing them. And I'm sorry that we're having to bring on such big guests in the beginning and throughout our podcast, but that's what we're going to do because we strive to be the best at whatever we do.
There's going to be a time where it's just me and you. So...
And please support that because there's going to definitely be that time.
That's just going to be a lot of shit talking.
We promise we're going to say some interesting shit and it's going to be worth it.
Some good stories. Like I said, 21 years of friendship. I know some quality things about you.
I know, and I know you're waiting to tell it. So TSHN 1971, hit us up through Facebook on the AKA Thailand. AKA Thailand Facebook. Yeah. And then prove that you are you, either with a screenshot of your YouTube insider.
Well, I'll see, because I answer those, so I'll see that he's from Sweden. So unless some random guy is going to pretend to be this guy from Sweden,
could happen. But I mean, if you send a screenshot of your control panel of your YouTube that has your name, whatever, anything like that, we'll give you a free training session to AKA Thailand, and they are transferable. So even if you're not coming, you can transfer to somebody else.
We've got 2 female pro fighters from Sweden.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's more than welcome to come.
Yep. So,
or it could be a woman. I mean,
the avatar, it's a guy.
Oh,
so
it's okay.
That's pretty much why I said he.
Well, fucking no, I don't know what an avatar is.
The comments?
I've never seen the movie. Okay. Blue people with tails or some shit.
Something like that.
I'm not watching that garbage.
All right, guys, we're gonna get right into our guest, and so let's bring on Daniel Cormier. All right, I want to welcome Daniel Cormier. Welcome to the podcast, buddy.
What's up, man? Thank you guys for having me.
No problem.
I love that. I love the setup you guys got going over there.
Thanks, man. Thank you. Like our lion?
The lion.
I'm a bit jealous of you, Mike. I mean, this whole Thailand thing's worked out, and you seem to be living in paradise.
It's cool, man. It's cool. But, hey, on that note, do you remember me coming back and forth to Thailand for so long, and then I would come back and then have no results, no nothing, and everybody thought I was screwing around?
Well, it's like you just didn't know. Like it was like, okay, so what's Swick doing over there? Dutch part maybe like some drug cartel or something. You're over there going, acting like you're working, come back, but then it was like, well, you were. If you came back and you were wearing if you were dressing like Conor McGregor, you'd have been like the El Chapo of Thailand. But you were actually going over there and spending money. So I'm like, dang, Swick must be doing something. And then you started building the building. And then Hob was like, I'm going out to AKA Thailand. And I'm like, wait, there's an AKA Thailand? He's like, yes, dude. He's like, Swick finally got it done. And then we saw the pictures, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's like, nobody, We really didn't know. And honestly, it was just like, man, Swick is lucky because Mary's always been so understanding and just so supportive. You're lucky, man. You're a lucky guy.
I was wondering because I kept getting mixed like answers from everybody because like Bob Cook was always like, so what's the update, man? You know, how's the gym going? And send me some pictures. And then I had nothing, man. Because like for 3 years, I was just failing and stumbling and like not building anything. And, so it was a long process. And, I felt bad because I was coming into, I paid my dues in the early days of AK, but then I wasn't paying my dues at the end. So when you and Kane and all these guys were coming up, I felt so bad because I was coming in for fight camps. And then after my fight, I would just bail out and go to Thailand. So I felt bad, and then I know all you guys were like wondering what I was doing and I had no updates. So it felt good to get the gym actually built and then like show you guys and be like, okay, look, this is what I've been doing, man. This is what it is. So
it's great. It's great now. And the thing was though, man, like when you were heading back out to Thailand after camps, is like we all understood because you had a bigger vision for what you were trying to do. And you were in the beginning, you were there, so it was like more than anything, I think you and Josh and Fitch and even guys like that weren't successful to the level of you guys, like Kyle Kingsbury and Mike Kyle. I think what you guys did, you guys showed us like the stability and how to train. And I think as the career progressed, you took those lessons learned and applied them to yourself. And that's why we've accomplished the things that we've accomplished. There was no AKA gym without everything that you guys did, man. And you really did build the foundation. They say AKA MMA started with I can't remember the guy's name. Started way back in the day.
Brian Johnson,
the black guy.
Oh,
huh?
With Brian Johnson or?
With Brian Johnson. They say
and Frank Shamrock.
Hey, we have a thing in the gym that says AKA MMA started with Brian Johnson, and it did. And Fury. When the American Kickboxing Academy became the American Kickboxing Academy, was with Frank Shamrock and then with you and Josh and Fitch and those guys. You guys were running through that. You guys were running through the UFC like nobody had ever seen, man. So we're very grateful for what you guys have done.
Man, I appreciate you saying that. And I got Mark here in the podcast. You may remember him. You actually helped him out at my fight, brought him into the Fox booth, I think, when he was really grateful for that. So
189.
Yeah, I appreciate it. How you doing?
Oh, outstanding, man. Thanks for coming on.
Good.
I appreciate that. Kind of means a little bit that you actually remember me. Makes me feel good.
And I appreciate you saying that, man. And coming from that to like watching you come up, man, you're one of my biggest, I'd say, inspirations, even though like it's post-career for me, but like, you're such a good role model and ambassador to the sport, and a lot of people don't know the real you like I know you. And so, what you've been through and what you go through for these fights and all that, a lot of people don't see, even though you're a Fox analyst, you're on TV and you're doing your own podcast with Talk and Talker and everything, a lot of people still don't see who you really are, man. And you're a great guy. And so, I love spreading that and telling people that. So I'm very excited to have you on the show and be a part of this podcast.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
And getting into that, so you just were in Hawaii with your family. How was that?
Yeah, it was great. We went to Disney Alani. There's like this it's like a Disney hotel. They've got like 4 swimming pools. They've got a beach. They've got a few slides. It's we've done it for the last 3 years now. So it's me and my wife and our kids, her sister and her kid with her boyfriend, who's my business partner in my barbershops in Los Angeles, my cousin and his girlfriend, and another one of my cousins with their daughter, who's the same age as my daughter. So we go 12, 13 people down to Hawaii every year, man. And it's a fantastic time because the hotel actually has babysitting, and it's included in the price that you pay to stay there. So it's like the most amazing thing ever. The kids go play, they dance, and we go and have a few Mai Tais. Which is disgusting. Do you guys drink Mai Tais in Thailand too?
No.
They're gross.
No.
But I heard you were into that Loco Moco. So tell me about that, because I heard you were deep into that Loco Moco listening to Talk and Talker.
That's my shit, man. It is a mount. In Hawaii, the greatest thing of Hawaii is it's always rice. I love rice. So for breakfast, it's like a big old, it's like this much rice.
Yeah.
On top of the rice is a freaking hamburger patty that's like this thick. On top of that is an egg, an egg on top of the hamburger patty. And to top it off, they just smother it in brown gravy. So when you pop the egg and all the yolk is spreading over the top of the hamburger patty on the rice, let me tell you something, man. They ain't got a beach in Thailand. That could make me feel better than sitting down to a big old bowl of locomoco.
Yeah, I heard, man. Jeez. So you put some weight on then.
I did. It does. Hey,
It's
TMZ got me. I was like, God damn, TMZ, you could probably look. If they would have said, DC, we could get some pictures. We're not gonna pay you. We're just gonna sell them. At least I could have gave them a good angle. You know, they were hitting me from the side, looking bad. At one point, it's like I had a wedgie. It's like I had a fucking wedgie. Come on, man.
Hey, at least you're at that status, man. TMZ's chasing you down.
It was amazing that they actually did that. Like, generally we'll do it, and TMZ will be around, but I think the UFC kind of lets them know where we are.
Yeah.
This time, I was really out with my family, and somebody was taking pictures, and I had no idea. Let me give you the Kardashian. You know, I give you, like, side profile, you know, make myself look a little bit slimmer. Do I look sports? Is he like this? I give you, like, half of my body. Maybe I look a little bit slimmer.
That's funny, man. So a couple of stories I want to go in though. Back from the old days. So do you remember when you first came to AKA? And you know what I'm probably going with this. But you came to AKA and you had a hard session and you were training. I talked about this in an earlier podcast about how you became like my biggest inspiration. I was a fan for life after this. But you trained so hard. You had a fight coming up and Bob Cook was getting you ready for this fight. And it was a short notice fight. And you trained so hard that you had to go to the hospital that night. And we all went to Nickelback, and you were supposed to join us, and you couldn't make it because you were at the hospital. You made it later, but you had to go to the hospital, and you drove yourself to pure exhaustion from just a training session. Not a fight for $500 or $10,000 or $1 million, but just from training alone, you put yourself in the hospital. And you ended up, and that was the first time I argued with Bob Cook against you taking a fight. And I went back and forth with Bob. I'm like, Bob, he's not ready. He's not in shape. Don't let him take this fight. And Bob's like, he's an Olympic athlete. Let him do it. He's going to win. And you won. You did it. And, man, I've been a fan ever since. So, I mean, do you remember that?
I do. I remember being out of shape. You know, when I came to AK, I was 263 pounds. So I was really pushing that heavyweight limit, you know, still 5'10", you know, but I was 263. I was pushing the limit, y'all. You know, you got Bigfoot cutting weight to get 265, and I was up there with Bigfoot and Roy Nelson, those guys. And I was cutting to make 260, 265, but I was sparring, and I was trying to train as I did in wrestling, but I was out of shape. So yeah, I fell on the ground, and I had to go to the hospital. I had to get an IV. And Swick told Bob, he goes, this dude is not ready. He goes, Bob, seriously, this guy's not ready. He's like, this guy's fucking rolling underneath the rope and shit. Like, I didn't even get out of the ring. I just kind of fell on the ground and just, like, rolled underneath. And that was back in the old AKA. They had just a ring. Bob took me to Dr. He took me to Dr. Bob. I got my IV. My stomach was sticking up this high off the ground. Yeah. And I did go to Nickelback, and I was like, wow, this is the great. I saw you and Koscheck walking around, and people noticed you. And I was like, wow, this is the most amazing thing. I had never been around celebrity, you know, so people asking Swick and Koscheck for pictures. I was like, what's going on? And, yeah. And then I went and fought. And after I fought, Mike goes, Bob, you're right. He goes, this dude's a gamer. He's like, this dude's actually a gamer. And Swick never said, well, I don't think this dude should fight again. So never. I do remember that exact story, man. I remember it. You know, another one that I just was thinking about when I was supposed to do the podcast was, it's so odd how in San Jose we see each other at the gym every day.
Oh, I know where you're going.
But the city's big, so you don't generally see each other outside of the gym very much. And Mike Swick, this guy lives in Thailand, essentially. One day I'm at the mall with my family, and there's Swick and his family just sitting there in the food court. And I was like, it blew my mind to see him marrying the kids and me be there with my children and my wife to just see each other in public. I was like, I saw you in Thailand on Instagram just yesterday.
I was hiding that I was home. I was hiding that I was home because I was like, it was like a sneaky trip home. But I know you see me the hardest time because I never went to like events with you guys, because you were saying how like you would keep track with how many like public outings I would miss, because the team would go out and do events and do like baseball games and I never went to any of them. And so you used to always give me the hardest time. So that was probably one of the few times we hung out. Well, we've hung out many times outside the gym, but that was one of the few times that we just coincidentally caught each other at the mall that time. But
it never happened though. It's the most surprising thing to me that we don't run into people more often. Like I've been here now since 2009, and I don't think I've ever seen John Fitch around San Jose. Just
right.
And I imagine if I did see Fitch walking around San Jose, I probably would think it was some homeless guy. Fitch living in his own world, just kind of walking around, not talking his shit, being all weird.
That's funny, man. I want to ask you about something else too, and another story, because we can do this because we're teammates and stuff. So there was this time, and you may not remember this. I hope you do, but there was a time, it was a locker room story. We were at AKA headquarters, and in the locker room, you were in Strike Force, and you were running around, and I think you were telling Bob, but you were so excited because you had, I believe, $40,000 in the bank. It was 30 or it was 40, and you were running around in your towel, and you were so excited. You're like, Bob Cook, I got $40,000 in the bank. You were just so excited about that money, and I remember thinking to myself, you're going to have so much more money than that one day. You ain't even going to think about that. Now, let me fast forward real fast. So now I'm listening to Talk and Talker, which is an amazing podcast that you, and I want to say this correct, but Nick Swimmern, correct?
Yep.
Y'all do. It's an amazing podcast. And I just heard in the latest podcast that you now have a check for $1 million a month old just sitting in your safe that you haven't even taken to the bank yet.
Is it right behind you?
So how crazy is it to go from being excited about $40,000 in the bank when you were coming up to now having a check for $1 million just sitting in your safe? You ain't even taken it to the bank yet.
I still get excited for any money. See, so I think that's what makes that's what ensures that I'm never going to be broke, is that I still get really excited for little money. So Dwayne and Bob will have appearances, and they'll be like, well, are you even going to do it for this amount of money? And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. And they're like, but it's really low. And I'm like, man, it's money. I don't turn down any money, but it was $40,000. It was when I fought Jeff Munson.
So you remember the story?
I made $40,000 and I was so happy.
So you remember the story then? You remember what I was?
I do. I do. I was running around going, man, I just deposited $40,000. And I was like, because I'm a wrestler. I'm an old wrestler. Man, I used to go win tournaments and they'll give me a $3,000 check. The most money I ever made was, I got fourth in the Olympics and I got $50,000 over the course of a year. That was the most I'd ever made. So to make $40,000 in 15 minutes was absurd. Now, in regards to the check, so there's a story to these UFC 214 checks, right? So everything that I have gotten from that fight, I haven't deposited because I feel like when I do, everything's final.
Right.
In regards to that fight. That's the end of my title reign. That's the end of the fight. That's the end of the rivalry with Jon Jones.
Right.
That's just, it's so much finality to depositing all this money and being completely done with that part of my career when it's consumed so much of it that I just haven't been able to do it yet. And reality is, if I'm going to do it at some point, there's not. It's
I
90
hope so.
days.
If not, just send that check to me.
We'll cash it.
That?
I hope so. If not, just send that check to me. We'll cash it. We'll give you like a Daniel Cormier section of the gym. It'll be all yours. Your accommodations, a gym, whatever, training facilities.
Yeah.
You better cash that check, man.
You have 90 days, and just man, I put a lot into this, so to be completely done with that whole part of my career and that story it's a big deal to me. So I'm just not mentally there yet.
Right.
So that's why I haven't deposited my UFC 214 checks, because I still got my sponsorship, Reebok and stuff, and I've got a few things that I need to. I just haven't done because of the finality it would bring to everything that surrounds UFC 214.
Right. And now, just recently, a couple of days ago, Jon Jones tested negative in a blood test, and the big misconfusion that people are still having is that it's the same test he took prior, which was post weigh-ins. Now, the post weigh-ins test was a urine test, which tested for T-ball, and then the blood test didn't. So ideally, the test for the blood that he took post fight and passed is irrelevant. If that B sample comes back from the post weigh-in test, he's in just as much trouble. Because the blood test didn't test for T-ball. That's what he tested for before the fight. So he had it in his system no matter what.
Yeah, it's really and I've said this time and time again. I don't think the guy ever needed to do anything like that. And again, he's entitled to his due process. But the reality of it is, it's like a lot of great athletes passed a lot of tests, but it's not about the ones that you pass. You just can't fail any. Yeah. You can pass 100 of them.
Right.
You can't fail one.
Right.
You don't. They're just not. It does not work like that. So
yeah.
We'll see what happens at the end of this, when this B sample comes back and see what's really going on. But you can pass 100 drug tests, but you can't fail any, Yeah. So I kind of wish all this stuff wasn't happening right now, because I just kind of gotten to the point where I was starting to get over UFC 214, and Jon had been a gentleman in the at the end of the fight, so I was starting to kind of get over everything, and then now we're right back in the middle of it. And look, it's dangerous. This is a very scary situation because USADA is at the head of drug testing in all sports, and if there was any question, they probably wouldn't have made those results public.
Right.
I don't think for an organization like that, they would not have just gone on a limb and said maybe he tested positive or something. So it would have been in there, and he's just got to be hopeful that in that B sample there is no trace of that steroid or whatever it is. But it's the same piss, Mike.
They just take it and divide it into two containers. They split it
between two cups.
Yeah.
And then they send it off to the lab, so...
I mean, they would have had to put the T-ball into it somehow in the testing process, which makes no sense.
Was that?
I mean, for it to be, now all of a sudden coming back negative, they would have had to somehow put T-ball into that during the testing process because, I mean, like you said...
Where do you get that T-ball, whatever that is? Where do you get it?
Where
do you get that?
It's just like the street name or whatever. It's just easy for me to say because I don't know how to say the proper Tyrannoball or whatever it is. So I just say T-balls. But like Chell said too, because in his podcast that that's used. It's expensive, it's hard to get, and it's used in stacks. So obviously there might be more things to it than that. But the T-ball is just easier to say, and I'm just keeping it simple. But the point is they separate the piss into two containers, so it's the same exact piss. So unless they put that T-ball in that first sample, it's not like it's not going to be in the second sample. You would think,
Well, the honestly, and again, man, I'm trying to be very careful with how I say these things,
Absolutely.
But the likelihood of it being different is very low.
Yeah.
And it has happened before. Thing is, though, it's happened with stuff that our bodies create naturally.
Yeah.
So if a person gets caught with like a growth hormone or something, or our bodies produce hormone on their own, maybe the level was raised a little bit higher from using synthetic or whatever however you call it. So it was like on the border, and when the B sample came back, it didn't have as much or as high a level. But the body creates that. The body doesn't really create T-ball, or it doesn't really make that naturally. So that really is a substance that's not found in us normally. So it's going to be very difficult to come back different. If it does, then oh well, oh well, good for him. It's not, oh well, it doesn't do anything for me, but oh well if it comes back negative. But if it does come back negative, you just gotta hope that he's way more careful as he goes forward in his career.
There's two things I wanted to mention too. So you've mentioned that you heard from Danny when you were with your family about this whole drug test failure again. Now, you talk about how sad you were, how sick you were, how upset you were. Coming from personal experience where, I'd fought a guy and lost, and the only thing that could have made the loss better would be if something happened that he did pop for steroids, because then I could at least know, okay, he cheated, and at least he beat me cheating. Was there any part of you that was relieved at the fact that he popped, where you could at least say, okay, I lost the fight. That's the worst thing that could happen at that point. But now he popped for steroids. So now that kind of makes that loss a little bit less damaging, I would think, to you. I mean, was there any relief at all, or was it just pure because of the whole thing? You were just upset about it and sick and going through this whole thing again.
I'm just like, for me, it's like I'm a different type of guy, man. Like I don't really look for any type of like, I don't look for any positives and losses. You know, people tell me stuff like, "Oh, it was a great fight. It was a close fight. You were winning the fight, or you were super close in the fight." Doesn't matter. I lost the fight.
But if he cheated to beat you, I mean that says something, right?
It's different. You know, the most upsetting thing I think is when I think about it. If I was thinking to myself, and I think what made me truly sick was that I'm 38 years old.
Right.
I get up every morning and I work so hard. I get up at 7 a.m. and I train. Then I sleep and I go and I train from 12 to 2, and then I rest. And I go again and I train at 7 at night. And I just do this all week. And every morning the next day, I barely get out of bed. I got to walk down my stairs sideways. But I got to make sure that at 38, I got to be able to work hard enough to compete with these guys. And I'm like, man, why would a 30-year-old guy who has all the physical advantages feel he has to do something like that to not make it level? That was probably what made me super upset just hearing that, because, you know, our history, you know, what happened last year at UFC 200, and then for this to happen again, and then to lose the fight and to just be getting over it, it was just a snowball of shit, you know, and it was like, God dang, man, when I can't catch a break in regards to this rivalry. And so not only as shit like that come out, where he failed the drug test at UFC 200 and failed the drug test now and failed for cocaine the first time we fought. Yeah. It's like I still lose the damn fights. So there's like no comfort for me. It's like this guy's doing all this shit but still winning and still beating me. And it's like, so like that's probably what disappointed me the most in the whole situation.
I mean, you got to look at it like this though too. I mean, he could be considered the best, greatest talent pound for pound in the world, whatever. But the fact that you've done what you've done naturally and clean and never failed, I mean, that sets the example for kids and for up-and-coming fighters. Because over here in Thailand, man, we get a lot of these, fighters that come in from this part of the world, and it's just a normal thing. They think that you should take steroids. And they come in and they ask Mark, they ask me, hey, where can I get steroids? I know you can get them in Thailand, and they're at the pharmacies. Like, they think it's normal to take steroids. So for me, and being an advocate against steroids, and like someone like you're leading the charge on showing people that I know it's tough for you and it was hard to recover, but you made it to the top. I didn't make it to the top, but you made it to the top and you did it clean. And that is more commendable than I think almost anything. I mean that's setting the example for the people who are coming up, so they don't ruin their lives and ruin their bodies and end up in situations like this.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's the only way I've ever known.
Yeah.
I went from Oklahoma State to the U.S. national team, and I was under the rules of USADA back from 2001 all the way to the end of 2009. So the only years that I've ever not been monitored by USADA was between 9 and 14 or something, when the UFC did the deal with USADA. So it's the only way I've ever known, So for me, it's like, that's just normal. It's normal to not cheat. I mean, just fight to the best of your ability. Your God-given talents will carry you as far as you're supposed to go. If you're supposed to be the man, you'll be the man. If you're supposed to be close, you'll be close. But your talents will carry you to that, and then at night you go to bed and I did it the right way. But it's just dangerous, man, because not only do you mess with your opponent and compete unfairly, but you really run the risk of having some long-term health damage to yourself. I mean, if you have a family, you want to try to be here for your kids as they grow old. By putting all these drugs into your body, you run the risk. That's why you see so many of those professional wrestlers just kicking the bucket so early. Heart attacks at 40 and 41 years old. It's hard life. That's a hard life, man, to be doing that type of stuff.
Okay, so after this new test failure, like, what are we looking at? Like what is Jon Jones potentially facing, and what's going to happen if this B sample comes back with you and the belt and the fight? What's going to happen?
Yeah, do you get the belt back?
Well, so when I talked to Dana, he said exactly what he said to the media. He goes, DC's only lost to Jones his entire career. If he's not the champion, Jones, meaning who else is, if he fought Daniel and was doing dirty things and won the belt from him. So I imagine I would get the belt back, and then I would have to fight somebody else. You know what I mean? In terms of punishments, I think these punishments are going to be very severe. I think the max is 4 years suspension for a second offense. I tend to believe he will be somewhere in the middle. I don't think that they would suspend him for 4 years.
Yeah, but why not?
I think if it does come back positive. Was that Mike? I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, why would they not suspend him the maximum amount of times? I mean, you're talking USADA's coming in to sit here and set an example and to show that they're doing things right. And this is a guy that's popped 3 times, not counting the other things that he's done. You know, why would they not give someone like him the maximum suspension? If nothing else, just to set the example. I mean, who's going to get the maximum if it's not going to be someone that's already popped 3 times?
I think they wouldn't do it because, I mean, ultimately it would essentially be a death sentence. You know, 4 years away, it's a long time. You know, so I think it would be a death sentence. You know, so I think it would fall somewhere in the middle because Jon's got a good team and a smart team of lawyers and managers, and they will raise if it does come back clean, comes back dirty, all you really have to do is raise doubt, you know, and they're a good team and they will probably raise some doubt. Even that news report on Friday, it raised doubt, right? So it raised doubt, like how could he pass this test the next day when you're telling me he was dirty for something on this day?
Right.
It just raises doubt. When you're getting someone off as a defense attorney, all you got to do is make the jury believe that there's a chance that you may not have done whatever you're accused of doing. So you raise doubt. You make people question what can be reality. And if they are successful in raising doubt, then I feel he'd probably fall somewhere in the middle. 2 years, like that. If he did get 4 years, I'd be very surprised.
Another thing I don't understand, though, is like, especially at the level he's at with you and what was on the line for this. When I came back and fought my last fight, UFC 189, that was the very first time USADA came on board. And that was the first show that they started this huge USADA crackdown. And they made us very aware that not only are they doing strict drug testing, but that there were a lot of supplements and other things that we have to be careful of. And I was and I'm not like a champion level. It was just a fight just so I can have that one last fight and train out of my gym. But still, I was so paranoid about supplements and about everything else. I only used Muscle Farm protein because it had the UFC emblem on it. And I did my whole fight camp literally only using that. I didn't take a single thing that was even questionable through my fight camp. So I can't wrap my head around why Jon Jones would even take something questionable. You know, the time before last, he said that it was a tainted generic Cialis pill or whatever. And now they're saying that this is possibly another tainted, some other type of thing. It's mind-boggling to me that somebody at that level with all this on the line would even take any supplements or anything that would possibly. And it's not that he's old, you know, he's not as old as you or me, I mean, he's still young and in his prime. So I can't wrap my head around why he would take anything other than just pure protein, pure amino acids, and just train hard.
That's the $1 million question, you know. With so much at stake, how can you be careless? I guess that's probably the best way to phrase it. You know, like, you know, how much is at stake? You know, how can you be careless? You know, so it's crazy, man. It's crazy, Mike. I mean, honestly, man, more than you would even know. I wonder why. And again, that's the only thing that upsets me. That really upsets me. You know, I know how hard I work to try to compete with these young guys. It's just unfortunate that if proven guilty, a guy, like you said, in his prime, young, all the physical advantages would feel he needed to do something that wasn't completely on the up and up.
Right.
Damn. Well, I was going to ask you, okay, so I personally feel like I cry when I hear the national anthem at the Olympics. You were team captain on there, correct?
Yes.
Is that a bigger honor, or what was? How do I say it? I guess, was it more of accomplishment for you, or winning the UFC title? Like what would I mean?
Like competing in the UFC compared to the Olympics.
Yeah,
probably,
yeah. I mean, I win in the UFC. I get is ridiculous, but I couldn't imagine competing in the Olympics. That just got to be the biggest thrill. It had to be top 5 in your life, I would guess.
Oh, 100%. It's winning the UFC title and also just being on the Olympic team. Walking out to the mat, my very first match in 2004, walking in the opening ceremonies is still one of the greatest emotions I've ever had. Like, I just felt full. Like my entire body, I felt like my whole body was just on fire the whole time when I walked into the opening ceremonies, and then actually walking to the mat with the United States of America on my singlet, and being one of 7 guys in the entire country to have to go and represent our country wrestling the world was truly an amazing honor. And I never thought for the longest time that anything could top it, but when they put that belt on me, it was pretty close, man. They are neck and neck. It's two of the greatest accomplishments I've ever had. They're neck and neck, though, because making the Olympic team it took a lot of pride, and I took a lot of pride in being a guy to represent our country. Winning the UFC title was a lot of pride, but it was also a lot of money.
Yeah, I was about to say.
So it kind of went.
That probably helps too.
It kind of added a second level to the happiness that I felt from being successful.
That's awesome, and you did both. So I mean, how many people can say that?
It's crazy, man. I've had a long ride. I talked to one of my high school coaches yesterday, and I just remember a whole bunch of stories about people saying how he was too hard and he didn't care about us and he would not give us our just due. But I told him, I said, because of you being so hard is why I am who I am today.
Right.
Because you showed me that I didn't need to be in Lafayette. I needed to fight to get out of there and just be a better person, hardworking man, and know that nothing was a given. And I feel like from a very young age I've been truly blessed, and I've gone to the right place, come into the right contact with the right people, and now I am who I am, and I'm lucky.
What's next for you, considering the outcome of this result? I mean, like, obviously, say we're just gonna have to assume. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. We're gonna have to assume that test might come back, failed again, and then he's out for however long. What's next for you? I mean, are you looking to continue on and defend your belt and keep going, or like what's in your mind right now?
It'll probably be. I'm resting. I fought in April. I fought in July. So, the earliest I would be back to fight would be late January, early February. Would be the earliest that I would be back to fight. So, I'm gonna chill for a little bit. And then do my TV, and I'm doing the color commentary on UFC 215 this weekend, doing UFC 216. Got some other shows where I'm doing the color commentary, so I'm just gonna do that for a little bit. Wait for these results and his appeal and everything to go through, and then we will go forward after all that stuff is done. Once again, we're kind of at the will of what he does. And it's okay. I'm kind of happy to get some time with my family and my kids. I'm coaching football. Yeah, I'm coaching my little boy's football team right now. So that's also a good thing. So I'm just away from the sport of mixed martial arts and the fighting capacity right now, and I'm happy about it.
You should come to Thailand.
Yeah,
half the team's been here, and I mean, you're up.
It's my turn, huh?
Yeah. You need to come up here, man.
Let's set it up.
We will. But I guess my question was, so if Jones is out of the picture, where's your motivation? I mean, is there anyone out there that you really want to fight? Is it just fights now? Or is there anybody out there that you really want to fight other than Jones? I mean, if he's out of the picture for a while and you're kind of already done everything else and beat everybody in the division, is there anyone left that really motivates you? Or is he's your big guy?
He's been my motivation for a long time. Makes me work harder and makes me train longer. If I said he wasn't, that'd be a bold-faced lie. But
right.
I'd get excited for other guys. At the end of the day, I remember July 29th as the day that I lost a fight. So even if I was really winding it down, I wouldn't wind it down and end it in that way anyway. So I would be fighting regardless. So we'll see if I'm going to be fighting in a championship fight next, or if I'm just going to be fighting a regular fight. But I'm going to fight. But we just got to see what the terms are and what the circumstances are. But I'll get motivated for anybody, man. I love the competition. I love the fight. I love the lights. I love the crowd, whether it's cheering, booing. I love it. You know what's crazy about these fights, too? When I walk out, I get booed to shit. But the moment I start fighting, I start hearing DC chants. It's the most amazing thing in the world. I feel like they just kind of, people aren't sure if they're supposed to like me or dislike me. But when they watch me fight, I'm the small guy. I'm the guy that just presses forward. I'm the guy that's trying to break a person's will. And they see themselves in that fighting style, and they start to cheer for me. So it's a weird thing. But I'm going to fight, Mike. I'm going to be back in there. We just got to find the terms under which we're fighting next time.
And I know you're mentally really strong, and I have to go on this, not to bring the conversation down, but how did this affect you with the emotion that you showed after this last fight, and that the kind of the backlash from all the critics and even Snoop Dogg? And I know Snoop Dogg kind of critiqued you the first time, and then he just came back even worse the second time. And I know you are a fan of Snoop Dogg. I've hung out with Snoop Dogg a couple times and been a fan of Snoop Dogg as well. How do you take that? Does it really bother you, or do you just kind of just say, hey, it is what it is? I'm an emotional guy, and I look at that as inspiration anyway. I mean, I think everyone should have something they want bad enough to show that kind of emotion that you did.
If you're not willing to cry for something that you failed to achieve, then it really didn't matter all that much. Reality is, I've cried. I cried when I lost in the Olympics. I cried when I lost to Jones both times. I cried when I lost every college match to Cael Sanderson. I commit myself so completely to these goals that if I don't accomplish them, it makes me sad.
Yeah, of course.
And I get emotional. It's just the truth. The Snoop Dogg thing, not that big a deal. I'm from Louisiana. I'm from kind of the hood. So I know how people act. Whenever it's my daughter. Say hi.
Yeah. How are you?
Kiki. I know how people act whenever. It's just ribbon, It's not that big a deal. It's harmless. She's like, she must need me. She went and put her leotard on. She's probably going to do her gymnastics. She's a hell of a gymnast.
Yeah?
It's crazy.
That's
hell of a
awesome,
gymnast
man.
at 5 years old. She's ridiculous.
That's another thing people don't know about you, but you're so into the kids, not only your own kids, but teaching wrestling at AKA. I mean, for years you've been teaching wrestling at AKA, teaching the kids class as the champion of the UFC. When other champions are out living the high life and doing their thing, you're at the gym training the kids and training wrestling classes. And I go back and I see you doing this, and then my nephew's telling me you're out there coaching the ball team with them, and it's crazy, man. Like you're that's why I say you're such an ambassador of the sport and just in life in general. So that's awesome, man. It's awesome to see how close you are.
I just want to live as normal a life as I can, Swick.
Yeah.
I want to work. I want to fight. I want to be with my kids. And I want to be a dad, man. I mean, that's it. I just kind of want to be a dad. I'm doing what I feel every dad should do. Spend time with his kids. Help him in any way that he can. And just try to be the backbone. You be the backbone for your family. That's the most important thing. All the accomplishments, all the money, all the other shit, that all means nothing. My greatest accomplishments are Daniel and Marquita,
right,
and my wife Selena. That's it.
That's awesome, man.
Everything else is just lanyap. It's a Louisiana word for just extra.
Or I learned something new. and so moving on from that, what was your take on the Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather fight? I have to ask you. Obviously, you're an analyst and it's boxing, but what was your overall take on the fight in general?
I thought that Conor did good. I thought everybody walked away looking good. Floyd won, got to go to 50-0, greatest boxer of all time. Conor McGregor held his own enough to where he didn't just get washed out. So we were like, this is ridiculous. He did good, man. I mean, I found myself feeling proud of Conor because he was the guy that took a risk. He was the guy that represented our sport and did it in an admirable way. So it was good. It was a good fight. as long as you can let go of what your thoughts and expectations were for the fight, you could have enjoyed it for what it was. It was never going to be a closely contested competition. Mm-hmm. It was a spectacle. And that's what we got, and it was fantastic. Both of those guys did great. I'm a huge Floyd Mayweather fan, too, so I thought it was as good as it could have went for both sides.
So I know you got to be careful how you answer this, but what about the GSP Bisping fight? GSP coming back after such a long layoff and fighting Michael Bisping. I know you're an analyst and everything, but what are your thoughts overall on that matchup and that fight?
I think it's a good fight. You know, I think people take Michael Bisping for granted. They think he's easier than he is until they get in there and they're like, holy shit, this guy can box. He's got phenomenal cardio. And when you take him down, he just gets up. You know, I love George St. Pierre. I think he's the greatest fighter of all time, out him and Demetrius Johnson. But I think George is very good striking. George is very good wrestling and grappling, but I think he may not exactly know what he's getting with Bisping. I think people underestimate Mike, and I think that's why Mike beats people. Is because they underestimate him and how great that he truly, truly is. George hasn't fought for 4 years, and he's going in there to fight a guy that's bigger than him, that's been active, and a guy that's having more success than he's ever had in his life. So this is a tough one. But if anybody can do it, it's GSP. You know, this guy is the definition of a mixed martial artist. I can't really make predictions on fights anymore because I have to do the color commentary on them. But my idea for the fight is that it's close contested, but you've got to know what you're getting into when you challenge Michael Bisping. It is a much tougher out than people give him credit for.
Do you have anything else, Mark? You got it?
I wanted to personally thank you. Back in 2010, my mom had passed away, and everybody from AKA, even Koscheck, who hates me, signed a bunch of different things so we could have a benefit. We ended up not using the stuff. We gave it to kids with leukemia and stuff like that. But I want to thank you and all of AKA for helping my family out. It really did mean a lot. So I never got to personally thank you. So I guess now's the time. So thank you. I appreciate that.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah. I appreciate it, man. Take care of my guy Swicky over there, please.
I take care of him, man.
Oh, you don't do shit. No,
you got to come over here, man. You got to come over and see the gym and see everybody and train and check it out, man. You got to get over here.
I will. I want to bad, man. I really do, and I will.
We'll call in sick for 215.
And then everybody check out Talkin' Talker, which is Daniel Cormier's podcast. I've been listening to it. It's amazing. And is there anything else you wanna plug before we go?
No, man. I just want to say thank you guys for having me. Obviously, always thank you to my management team, Zinc and Entertainment, the American Kickboxing Academy, my sponsors, Monster Energy Drink, Metro PCS. Listen to the Talkin' Talker podcast, man. Get on iTunes, talkingtalker.com. It's fun.
If we get, I know we tell everybody this, but if we get 50,000 likes, I've never been in a fight in my life. I mean, at 50,000,
he's never even trained for a fight.
Yeah, it's not my thing.
50,000 subscribers, by the way.
Yeah. If we get 50,000 subscribers, I'll fight a Muay Thai fight. I'll go through the training camp and do all that crap. So I need you to help me push that. We're at 340.
I'll push it just to watch you get kicked. I'll push it just to watch you get leg kicked 20 times and just be hopping around that damn ring.
Everybody's doing that. That's what everybody wants to see, Daniel. They want to see him get his ass kicked.
Why does nobody say, hey, man, I think you're going to win this fight? Or, I don't get any of that shit.
Kicking in the leg, you're going to be like, what the hell? It sucks.
Well, that's why I'll train for a month.
Ain't going to help you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate the boost of confidence there. That's outstanding.
Well, I appreciate your time, man. I know you're busy and you're getting ready for your UFC job and everything. So I appreciate you coming on the podcast. Everybody check out Talkin' Talker podcast. Everything that Daniel mentioned before. Thanks for stopping by, buddy. And, man, it's great talking to you just as a teammate, not only as a host of a podcast.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thank you a lot.
Mike, we miss you over here, brother.
Thank you, man. Do. Miss you too, brother. All right, so that was Daniel Cormier, man. And I tell you, that was a podcast I was really looking forward to. I mean, it's a teammate, a guy that I know very well. And even through this podcast and all these stories, you really don't know Daniel, man. Like, as much as he's in the media, as much as he's on these shows, He's an analyst. He fights. He's done a million interviews. It's really hard to know the real Daniel Cormier. You know, we've touched on it a little bit, but he's really a good guy. And I don't understand why people boo him. I think he's an ambassador. And, well, I mean, fans have their right to boo or to cheer, but, man, if they knew how good of a guy he was, you know, I think it would be a different story. But, yeah, what'd you think, man? That's the most you've talked to him probably for a while, huh?
Yeah, he's obviously one of the nicest guys you could ever talk to. You know, the fact that he's UFC champion, you know, that just adds to how cool that is. But man, he's just really nice guy. It's all about his family. You know, I think he's a Saints fan, which is a problem. Go Cowboys. But other than that, man, it's I could sit and talk to that guy for hours and hours and hours. You know, he's definitely fun to talk to. So
yeah, I mean, it's good that he gave us this time too. And like I said, he was one of the guys I looked forward to the most to having on the podcast. It's great we had it in our 5th week. You know, so the podcast is going really good.
It's crazy.
I want to thank everybody that's listening to the podcast, giving us feedback, comments, and supporting
gifts.
us.
They've been sending us
and sending us gifts. You know, like the jerky, and now we're getting people saying they're going to send us a whole bunch of more stuff. So
yeah, we got some weird stuff coming.
Yeah, it could be crazy. We really appreciate that. Anything you want to send, if you want to see us try some crazy stuff, just send it to AKA Thailand. AKAThailand.com has the address at the bottom of the website. We want to also thank our sponsors, AKAThailand.com and MikeSwick.com. But we really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Again, Mark, do you have anything else? Thank your sponsors.
Don't have any. So
we need sponsors too.
Yeah. Some beef jerky company would be great.
Plead for sponsors.
I don't want to beg, but come on.
Will you beg for money, corn nuts, jerky?
God, I could go for some corn nuts.
You can't ask for a sponsor?
Well, I'll take a fucking sponsor. I'll wear your shirt. I don't care if it's summer's eve. I'll wear fucking anything. How can I be picky, you know?
Awesome, man. And so that's it. And thanks a lot, everybody. And I want to give a shout out to Mark because he was sick today. And he was very close to not being able to do this podcast. So
can't say no to Daniel Cormier.
Can't say no to.
Say no to you all the time, but never do it.
Yeah. So I appreciate it. And you didn't have to leave.
I'm pretty impressed.
He was worried he was gonna have to leave and go take care of some business.
Yeah, you can say shit. They know what poop is.
Yeah. So he was sick and he was tough.
I ain't gonna lie. One's probably coming soon though. So let's wrap this up.
Maybe I'll extend it then.
No, that's done. We're done talking.
Okay, since he's got to poop. We'll leave it on that.
What, 3?
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching and tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Oh, we got to cue that music, huh?
Oh, we got to cue the music. Do we have it?
Do we still have that?
Uh-oh.
Which, by the way, I talked to Danny, the original creator of this. He's sending us another one to try out. So
yeah, it's going to have Mark in it probably, right?
Probably.
Well, it needs to. I mean,
sex sells. I mean,
if you can stay in here even when you're sick, man, you're kind of earning your keep.
I'm not going to stand up and dance when it's on the outro.
Okay.
Because I don't want to shit my pants. But
cue that music.
Yeah. Thanks, Danny.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot again.
Real quick,
so catchy.
Real quick with Mike Swick. Real quick.
You're going to dance a little bit, aren't you?
Real quick with
Not
Mike
even a little?
Swick podcast. Swick.
At least you got to give a couple of these. We have to do it at least. Just give me 2. Oh, yeah. Ah, fuck. See ya.